Hey guys, it's me again, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to create snake in Sfml. In this tutorial, we will just be creating a simplified version of snake. So we can move our snake around, up, down, left, or right, and if we touch a food pellet as the snake, we increase in size. Increasing in size also increases the score as seen in the top part of the window, and touching the borders of the window will teleport you to either side. Touching another body part of your snake will reset the score to 0 and put your snake back into its default length. So without further ado, let's get on with the tutorial. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm just going to completely start from scratch. So we have a blank main.cpp file and no header file, so this is a completely new document. So the first thing that we're going to add is the Sfml graphics library, which can be accessed like this. And the next thing is the time.h header file in C++. And we're also going to use the string.h header file, which will be used for the score of the program. Time.h will be used for each tick, as I like to call it in our snake program. So that will handle all the timings, and yeah, that's basically it. We are also going to include the header files for the classes that we will soon add later on. So for now, I'm going to include food.h and snake.h. Okay, so let's create our main. And here we are going to create the render window for our snake program. So I'll just type here render window and then window and SF video mode, and within video mode are the dimensions, width and height dimensions, which I'm going to leave as width and height for now, so I'll define them later. And then the name of the window, which is snake game. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is something required in creating Sfml programs, which is to create the while loop for all the things that are going to be happening, or the events that are going to be happening in our Sfml program. And I'm going to create the required part of it, which is to define the events. So if an event, if our user presses the X button, the window should close. So this is basically what I'm typing right here. So when type was closed, so if the user clicks the X button on the window should close. So that's basically it. We also need to add a clear function so our window can clear, and we also need to display. And I make a mistake here. The semicolon, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, we still haven't filled up our width and height. So for now, I'm going to create two width and height variables, which will contain the dimensions of the window. So as you can see, the window loads and renders properly, and I think it's a little bit too small, so I make it 600 by 600 here, so you can see the window. So this is the basic setup of how to create this project. Also, one more thing, since we are creating a snake game, we're going to have to divide this window into some sort of grid, since our snake is actually built up on blocks. So for that to work, we need to divide each pixel each block in this program into some sort of grid system. So for that to work, I need to create two variables. I named this n and m. N is equal to 30 and m is equal to 30. And when I input 30, I mean 30 blocks or 30 blocks basically. So I'm trying to divide the window again into blocks for our snake to go around in, which I will be showing right here. So as you can see, this is the diagram. And for each block, we also need to define a size. So I'm going to define the size as 16, which means each block is 16 by 16 in dimensions. The size is 16 by 16 wide. So now I'm going to define the width and height of our window based on these blocks. So that's simple. I just turn width into, I just multiply the size to the n and m variables to create the width and height of the program. So yeah. So if I render this, you see that nothing has changed, but later on this will make our job much easier for when we decide to place our snake or move our snake around in the game, or when we code the game logic for this part. So now we are going to create the two header files, which will be used as our classes for the snake application. So simply go to header files, right click, and add new items. So I just created the snake.h header file and the food.h header file. So actually our classes are going to have almost the same or nearly identical data in them. So if we complete one, we can simply complete the other. So I'm just going to show you what I mean by that. So the first thing that we're going to add or include is, of course, the graphics library of Sfml. Simply include that. And then include, I guess, iOS stream is what I place here for the input-output. But actually, I don't think we need to include iOS stream now that I think about it. So feel free not to include that. Yeah. Next thing is to set the private variables of the snake. So color and rectangle shape. So our snake is going to be a square. So this class is actually going to hold the properties of each block of the snake. So our snake is going to be divided into parts that will traverse our grid. So this is what is going on in my head when I was creating this class file. So I don't need to make it that complicated. So here I just build the constructor of our snake class file. So new size, so I can input the size of the snake, and color. So of course I can say white in the main.cpp. And notice how I don't include a position parameter in the constructor, and that's because the position is going to depend a lot on the movement of the player, and we will be dynamically defining the position of the snake later on in the main file. So here I'm just going to basically just set the private variables of our snake class into the variables that can be passed on to the constructor, which are the new size and new color. And here I put position, but then I realized, right, it's dynamic, so I remove it. Okay, so the constructor is done. Let's just quickly create the destructor. And that should be it. And we're going to create the functions of our snake. So there are actually just going to be two functions, which is the set position function, which will be the first one, and the draw to window function. So for set position, simply put x and y are parameters, and the draw to window function, which will draw our snake class block thingy shape into our window. So simply write it like this: parameter window, and then window.draw shape. So Our food class is actually going to be near identical to this. So simply go to food and copy paste your snake.h code and just remove everything that says snake into food. So like that. And that's it. Those are our snake and food classes.